Um, okay, thank you, everyone. I just wanted to give a brief update on the situation of the Product Council. The more observant amongst you will have noticed that I'm not Leslie Ann. And the reason for that is that Leslie Ann has left the Mojaloop Foundation and has gone to join a big bank. She's gone back to her first love, product development, digital transformation, trying to change the establishment from the inside. So let's hope it goes well. She remains as a supporter, and I'm sure that she will make her presence felt occasionally. For myself, I'm not taking on all of Leslie Ann's roles. She was doing far too much, and I don't have the time, and I am currently the product manager for the Myanmar development, and I therefore will not be dedicating nearly as much time to this as Leslie Ann was. I'm going to be focused on product management for the Mojaloop Foundation, not all of the other myriad things that Leslie Ann has taken on. I've had, 30 odd years working with financial service providers and payment schemes, etc. And I hope to be able to bring this experience to bear on the Product Council role. But this is very much me trying to support the community, not to try and impose my views, though those of you who know me know that I'm, sorry, pretty opinionated. So let's hope it goes well. The role of Product Council, as you're all aware, is that it needs to provide an interface between the community and, Product Council's down there. And we need to provide an interface between the community over there and the designer authority and the change control board. So this is my perception of what the Product Council needs to do, is to talk to the community, talk to the, in particular, financial service providers, talk to, so including not just banks, but MFIs, SACCOs, mobile wallet providers, everybody else in that space, and to talk to operators. We have quite a good relationship with VitsaWorks, and of course we need to talk to all of the other operators as well. So we need to talk to obviously Moali, TIPS, if they're available, etc. So from that we want to gather the actual operator or business needs and collate them in a single place and translate them into Mojaloop or technical development programs or components. And then once we have done that, we need to gather some form of acceptance or adoption by the design authority before hopefully we can try and make a difference. So the overall approach is going to be essentially, as I said, pulling back a little on the scale of what Leslie Ann was doing. So we want to provide a lead in the development direction for Mojaloop. And we want to look at the business requirements. We want to know what functions are missing for a financial service provider, what would make an operator's life easier. And we need to think specifically in the future about compliance. We are going to, as we get further in deployments, as deployments get to larger scale, we're going to be hitting more and more compliance requirements, and we can bring to bear on this input from supervisory authorities. So we don't necessarily want to talk to regulators, we want to talk to the supervisors, the people who look at services and decide what information those services must provide and how that's going to evolve in the future. We know that supervisors are increasingly looking at switches for information, for particularly around money laundering, terrorist finance, proliferation finance, etc. And we need to be starting to have an answer to those questions. we will also obviously want to be influenced by the people who are directly involved in deployments. We do have constraints against which we operate, in particular vNext. And I'm particularly looking at the new settlement models, ISO 20022, foreign exchange, 3PPI. All of these things are things that will constrain what Product Council can do, I think. So within that, I think we have to work with the design authority, the change control board, to make sure that what we're doing fits into the overall direction, the overall framework for Moduloop. Make sure that we're not heading off in some ridiculous direction. So we're going to continue to use Product Council meetings to gather business requirements, socialize the progress we've made, seek contributions, etc. And I don't expect the meeting cadence to change for that. And everybody who's taken an interest in Product Council, I'm sure will be in touch to make sure that you are available and willing to continue to engage and contribute. But to try and streamline the process, we'll seek to establish a subcommittee of workstream leads. So we'll take some inputs from the full Product Council, try and identify what are the priorities, what do the end users, the FSPs, the operators, what do they really need, and look to select around 6 of them. And then that subcommittee will, for each, develop sets of user stories, acceptance criteria, and build a backlog. The objectives of this are to develop and make available a set of freely available backlogs of stories built around community priorities. And we're looking at trying to develop bite-sized stories, each less than, let's say, 10 hours development as a rough measure. And the ambition is to empower and support people to take them on.
Good afternoon. Is that Mike?
Hi, Mike.
Yeah, cool.
Empower and support people to take them on. We want people to know if they want to make a contribution, they know where to go, how to go about it, and then we can help them to make a highly visible contribution, which they can feel is of direct relevance to a real world problem and will help to strengthen the Moduloop community and actually active deployments. And we want a forum as well for checkpointing and community engagement against the developments made and to influence the direction. And that will be the Product Council forum every month, thereabouts. I know, ambitious, but you've got to have ambitions. These are the candidate use cases. These are just the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that I think are the most important, that we should be focusing on to begin with. For settlement, I'm not thinking about vNext or the new settlement models that Michael is developing, which I think are an absolutely essential development, and I'm very keen to support them. What I'm talking about here is enhancing what we have already in terms of automation and integration and support for new settlement models as they come along. Around fraud, well, we've heard from Justice and his team, and we want to improve integration there and support them wherever we can. Payment Manager, to me, Payment Manager is actually really important. It really helps real world deployments, makes it so much easier. But there's lots of opportunities for things that need to be added on to support DFSP's participation, to make their lives easier, and also to support additional functions. You'll have heard me going on and on about bulk payments yesterday, and that's, I think, part of the solution there is within Payment Manager. Merchant payments, this is another one that I think is really important. Justice Lewis and myself have already started this process as our own mini subcommittee, developing the backlogs and the stories around that. it's highly visible. I think there are plenty of opportunities out there for live deployments or potential deployments to look at whatever we can produce from merchant payments, and it could be the trigger to enable deployments in the future. Bulk payments, you've heard me talk about, principally because it's a core function of many payment systems that you have to be able to support bulk. And we do it, but not in the way that the market needs. So there's an opportunity for us to really make it much more relevant, much more accessible for FSPs and the organizations that they serve, be it governments or large employers or NGOs. There's AISP, I think we should be exploring as well. We have 3PPI, aka PISP, 3 acronyms after each other. That's pretty good going. AISP is the account information counterpart. So payment in PISP is payment initiation. AISP is account information, and this is the other leg of support that fintechs need. And it's a challenge to see how we can do that within the Mojo Loop context, but I think it would be of value to the community and encourage adoption if we could at least investigate that and see what we can do to support that. Reporting, which is enabled by the BizOps framework, so thanks to Paul Baker and the team. And we think there's a lot of potential there for developing reports for use by operators and potentially by those that are applicable to DFSPs as well. And of course, operator portals. You can use the framework to build new portals. What portals are you missing? Let's develop some and make them available to the community. And I'm sure that all of you could contribute 2 or 3 others beyond this, and we could have a plethora of candidate use cases. So the next steps, well, I need to recruit some subcommittee members, so you can expect me to be knocking on your virtual door. Then we need to host a product council meeting, which I'll probably be seeking to do in the next couple of weeks, and use that meeting to try and socialize some of these options and select the priorities, and then start developing the stories and backlogs and coordinate with the DA. In fact, I would actually try and open a dialogue with the DA at an early stage before we actually start developing stories and backlogs. And the new chairman of the DA, I think that he'd be a good place to start. So unfortunately, I don't have to go very far to knock on his door. And that's it from me. So thank you. I know that was a very quick rush through, but if there are any questions, I'd be very happy to answer them.
Great, thank you, Paul, and thank you for stepping in. I appreciate too how much you are not taking on, and yet at the same time how much you are. Leslie Ann was carrying quite the load before, and so it's. Yep. I'm grateful also though that you brought some focus to this, so thank you for that. Could you rewind to your slide 7? I think it would be helpful to support my question. So one of the things that's important about agile development is the recognition that the product team and the development team are actually both dancers and they depend on each other. And it's important to recognize that it's not the role of the product team to size a story. It's the role of the development team to do that. And the development team is never going to tell you can have whatever you want, and it's only going to take 2 hours. And so it's a dance, and it's something that has to go back and forth. In the end, however, the development and grooming of the backlog is a co-developed effort. The priorities come from the product team. The developers say, I can give you input that if I did these 2 things together, it could be more efficient than if I did them separately in the order you're asking. And it may be that that's a perfectly adequate thing to do, and you can reorganize things. But those 2 things have to be done together. And so I think this implies that the subcommittees will be creating these stories and the backlog, which is not really, that's not really the agile method. So we need to figure
I
out a way
agree.
to get the developers involved to where they're making commitments. They're saying, I can do that in 5 hours. And that's the voice activated sign up board saying, therefore I will do it in 5 hours. Once it's on the backlog, I'll take it down and do it. So some comment
Miller,
from you
you're
would
quite
be great.
right. You're quite right. I think the motivation behind putting this here is because I think that in the past, the tasks that have been out there, we all know what they are, but they can be seen as something of an amorphous blob, and you don't know how to address them. So this is simply trying to create some sort of framework to break that down to where somebody can take a bite off and address it. You're quite right. The sizing isn't something that we, as certainly me as a product manager, I can't do it. I mean, I've tried this many times, and my experience has always been the devil is in the detail, and it can be a painful process. But just trying to get it to a stage where you can not necessarily say it's a 10-hour development, but you can actually envisage exactly how this might be done, or more or less how it might be done, and it feels like a relatively approachable task, as opposed to just saying, go and create me a bulk payments mechanism, for example.
Well, I think that's right. I think also the priorities are sensitive to how much effort is being requested of an open source community and how likely it is that they would pull something off the backlog and do something about it. And if there's, it's definitely an iteration. And I appreciate that. I do believe that in the end, what you have is the right target. You know, how can you get properly t-shirt sized a story so that you can iterate on that prioritization. And so this is great, but I do believe, getting the developers involved early, driving it though, from the point of view of the product side is the thing. No question about that, to be sure that the community gets what the community needs in the end, and with the best support of the developer community.
Yes, but as you said, I think it is a dance between the two, and we need to find a way to orchestrate the dance.
I've just posted some definitions that we've used in the past for task t-shirt sizing that just to give an idea of that. And so what you're talking about here is really, if the thing is not actually small or tiny, it's probably needs more factoring, because we can't make a prioritization decision about it yet.
Yes. Yep. Now, Miller, I completely take your point.
Thank you.
This is just an attempt to try and make it.
Yeah, others should chime in here too. This isn't all about me. I'm really interested to hear from the development community if they believe this approach will work, and can they step up and help us with this? So this is a call to community for sure.
Yeah, it most definitely is. Yep. Are we done?
Unless there's any other question. I see Michael unmuted and Finn. I'm not sure if you guys have questions.
Hi, yes. Go ahead, Michael.
No, after you, Finn.
Oh, hi, Paul. Thanks. We're very excited. You'll hear a lot of stories from here. And I just wanted to let you know we would be happy to take on, which we communicated before as well, on the report development part of it. And also payment manager, the core connected piece of it. If there's anything that we can help, there's another opportunity.
Then I had you in my sights anyway. So thank you.
Thank you. And I didn't see foreign exchange on your slide. Is that part of the radar or not at all?
It should be. I should have put it on. You're quite right. But that's the point. It's not for me to decide. Product Council decides. So we will have that discussion.
Okay, thank you.
I think I communicated to you separately. I can't remember when. That to me, to the most important things that are coming along at the moment are the new settlement models and foreign exchange. Yeah, they should be in there.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks to you too, Finn. Michael?
I was just going to say that the bit that's worrying me in this model is the bit where product features, or the process by which product features get turned into development stories. Now that's not
worrying
really
me as well.
Well, it's not something that the DA thinks of itself as doing, I don't think. When we've discussed that in the past, I think the DA has always said, no, we're happy to review and to make strategic recommendations and things like that, but we're not actually engaged in analytic design work for particular projects.
Michael, I always tend to look to you as keeping me on the straight and narrow with regard to the Mojo Loop truth. So please don't let me down on this.
Yeah, okay. I'll try not to.
Yep. Now, I am finding my way on this. I'm not saying that this is the correct way to do it. Let's as a community find the correct way to do this. But this is a starting point, and we'll see how it evolves.
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm very happy to help in any way that I can.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Me too, Paul.
Any lots? Yep. Lots of volunteers signing up. Excellent. Thank you all so much. If for folks who want to plug into the Product Council and the work going on there, please reach out to Paul Makin directly. Email, Slack, I'm pretty sure is fairly easy to find. And if you can't find him, send me a message and I'm happy to connect you to him.